When did your parents' dumbest rule almost cost them their life? My parents banned me from watching cooking shows because they were convinced it would turn me gay. Not that being gay would have been a problem I could control, but that's a whole other conversation. I just wanted to watch MasterChef like every other kid in my class. Instead, I was the only 7th grader who couldn't talk about the latest elimination or debate whether Gordon Ramsay was too harsh on the home cooks. So, while my friends were arguing about whether beef Wellington was overrated, I had to pretend I didn't care about food beyond chicken nuggets. Or when someone asked what my favorite dish was, I'd say pizza like a caveman and change the subject. At home, it was worse. My mom would lecture me every time she caught me lingering near the kitchen. Boys who cook end up confused, she'd say, stirring her curry aggressively. Your Uncle Prem watched too many cooking shows, and now look at him. Uncle Prem was a chef in Dubai, making 6 figures. But sure, Mom, he's the cautionary tale. When I tried to argue, she doubled down. She put a lock on the pantry. She changed the Netflix password. She even told my grandma to stop teaching me how to roll roti during summer visits. Grandma just winked at me and kept teaching me anyway. Everyone thought my parents were being ridiculous, and I agreed. But my best friend Zayan wasn't going to let me starve creatively. Every Saturday, I told my parents I was going to Zayan's house to study for the science Olympiad. My parents loved it. Mom bragged to every auntie at the temple about how her son was going to be a doctor, not some kitchen boy. Jokes on them. I wasn't studying photosynthesis. I was learning knife skills. Zayan's dad owned a small catering business, and he let me help out in the prep kitchen for 4 hours every Saturday. I learned how to julienne carrots, deglaze a pan, temper spices, and butcher a whole chicken in under 6 minutes. I especially loved learning how to control a gas flame, adjusting it by sound and color. So for 4 hours every week, I got to be the person I actually was, without my parents ever knowing. That is until one Sunday morning, when my mom was making a aloo paratha for the entire extended family who'd come over for my cousin's engagement. There were about 22 people in the house. Mom was frying parathas on the tawa when she suddenly stumbled backward, clutching her chest. She'd been complaining about heartburn all morning, but refused to sit down. The pan tilted, hot oil splashed across the stovetop and caught the tea towel she'd left near the burner. Within seconds, the flame jumped to the curtains above the sink. Mom collapsed onto the kitchen floor. My dad ran in screaming. My aunties started screaming. My little sister ran out of the house crying. The fire was spreading fast, licking up toward the wooden cabinets where the cooking oil was stored. If that oil caught, the whole kitchen was going to go up. My dad grabbed a jug of water and moved to throw it on the flames. I screamed, "No!" Everyone froze. I'd learned at Zayan's dad's kitchen that water on an oil fire creates an explosion. I ran to the stove, turned off the gas at the main valve behind the fridge, grabbed the biggest steel lid from the cabinet, and slammed it down over the burning pan to smother the flame. Then I yanked the burning tea towel off the counter with the tongs, threw it in the sink, and turned the tap on it. For the curtains, I grabbed the box of baking soda from the top shelf, the one I knew was there because I'd organized this kitchen 100 times in secret. I dumped the entire box on the curtains until the flames choked out. The whole thing took maybe 40 seconds. Then I turned to my mom, who was still on the floor. Her lips were turning blue. I remembered from a first aid segment on a cooking show, of all things, how to recognize a heart attack. I told my dad to call 911, told my uncle to bring the aspirin from the cabinet, crushed it, and put it under her tongue. I kept talking to her, keeping her conscious, until the paramedics arrived 9 minutes later. At the hospital, the doctor told my dad that if we'd waited even 5 more minutes, or if the fire had reached the oil cabinet, we would have lost her, and probably half the family. When Mom woke up the next day, my dad had already told her everything. She looked at me for a long time, then she said, "Where did you learn all that?" I told her the truth. Every Saturday, 4 hours, Zayan's dad's kitchen. She started crying, not angry crying, the other kind. She said, "I almost died because I was too proud to let my son be who he is." My dad squeezed my shoulder and said, "Ada, this weekend, you're cooking dinner for the whole family, and I want to help." Mom never watched a single episode of MasterChef with me after that. She watched every single one.